I didn't know anything. I learned something new every single day. I've grown more in the last 6 years starting my business than I did in working in corporate America. You're going to mess up a lot and you have to be patient. You're going to have moments where you break. You're going to have moments where you succeed, and you need to have someone to lean.
Welcome to Michelle's Seat at the Table. I'm honored to have you join me today.
Hi, Michelle. I'm so excited to be here. For your listeners, I'm Alex Schrecengost. I'm the founder and CEO of Virtual and Culture with Us. And I'm chatting with you from my home in New Jersey.
Well, as you know, this podcast is about leadership. It's about community. It's about the conversations that shape us. And life is not just about the destination. It's about the richness of our journey and the stories that are found in it. So I want to give just a little bit of a teaser of my guest today. I have Alex Schrecengost. Alex is the founder and CEO of Virtual with Us and Culture with Us, an award-winning experiential marketing company that helps with the world's leading organizations strengthening their customer and employee relations through premium virtual experience, executive gifting, curated in-person events. So my guest today, Alex, has also been recognized as a Wine Enthusiast 40 Under 40 Tastemaker honoree and a Tory Burch Fellow, Foundation Fellow. So again, welcome. This conversation is going to be so amazing. I can't wait to really get into it. So you said you're joining us today from where?
From New Jersey. So I'm in my home in New Jersey, my home office, and I'm so excited to be here. Thank you again, Michelle.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to join me at the table. So I have so many really great questions, but just from a foundation perspective, you have had a really incredible and what I consider a diverse career. And so tell the listeners about your journey. So one part of it is that you've been in the hospitality industry, and I find hospitality for me a little bit intimidating. But how does one get from marketing and being, in comms for major brands to owning your own company in hospitality?
Well, I think for me, I had a bit of an unconventional path. I started my career doing public relations and marketing for Bloomingdale's. So I was all about fashion. And my mentor one day said, will you consider doing the marketing and PR for Dorothy Hamilton, who was the CEO and founder of the French Culinary Institute? And that really changed my entire career trajectory. As soon as I met Dorothy and many of the chefs, so Nils Naren and Jacques Pepin and Cesare Casella, which are these beautiful, amazing chefs from all over the world, I was obsessed. I mean, I love to eat. I love to drink, and I love sitting around a table chatting with people. And so I was then immersed in the culinary world there. And I was opening up restaurants and representing chefs, winemakers, hospitality leaders from a marketing perspective. And during that time, I realized that hospitality isn't really just about food and wine. It's about the creating of connection.
Yes.
And bringing people together and the feeling that you have with it. So I really became obsessed with it, and I loved every minute of my 18-year career in specifically culinary PR and wine PR. And ultimately, it began the foundation for what I built today. And so that's really was what started kind of the thinking around Virtual with Us and having a platform that'll create connection.
Find it so fascinating. And so tell us a little bit more. So the name Virtual with Us, Culture with Us doesn't really give you what the company does. So give us a little bit more about what you do, what the company does. That's actually how we met many, many years ago when I was working for a big pharmaceutical company. We leveraged the work and resources that you do. So tell us about your company specifically.
Yeah. So, and kind of going to that defining moment for me is during COVID, I realized that there was a huge gap. Everything was shutting down. Most people saw hospitality completely closed. And I saw an opportunity to reimagine that. I also started to realize that experiences are a really cool way to leverage a brand and to create something where it's not just the traditional marketing. So, it initially started with people connecting online, and we were all shut down, and
everybody was online.
Everyone was online. And so what my company does, just to go backtrack a little bit, is we help to create relationships through curated boxes, through revenue driving events. So our experiences are really sold to enterprise B2B, and it's for sales organizations that have field marketing teams all over the country and all over the world. How are you going to connect with those people? You can't clone yourself. You can't be at 20 places at once. And so you have sales reps that are really trying to create those connections, and they were trying to do that post-COVID as well. So it's really been able to sustain that power of getting everyone a seat at the table no matter where they are in the world. So it really exactly. So, and it's like, why should you wait to get people together? You should get that, no matter if you're 1,000 miles apart, a mile apart. So we built a company that sends these amazing boxes from small businesses all over the country and world. We support over 250 small businesses, women-owned, diversity-owned, family-owned, and we'll work with a chocolatier, we'll work with a pasta maker, a cheese curator, and we'll send all of those items out to all of these professionals, executives that are decision makers that are signing on to get a platform. So Shopify is one of our largest customers, and they host their customers and prospects, and they introduce really what they're selling while enjoying small businesses items, which I really love that part. So, right now we're doing these curated experiences and boxes all over the place, 80 countries. And we have incredible customers, like I said, Shopify, Cisco, HP, Business Solver, and they're wonderful supporters, Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the success that you've had, but just starting. I recently did a podcast episode, and one of the things I said is done is better than perfect. And it's so hard to just go, right? Sometimes we're waiting for the next thing, we're waiting for the next moment or for someone to validate, but it's just, sometimes you just have to go. So congrats to you. My next question is, you have sat at a lot of tables. And you think about the work that you did before you owned your company, and now you're bringing people together around tables, even around our screens like we are today. One of the things that I love about the work that you're doing. But if you think back on your career, is there a piece of advice or something that you wish you would have known when it comes to some of those tables and navigating the rooms that you've been in?
Yeah, especially in hospitality, and not so much on the food side, but the wine side is very male dominated. And I made my way all the way up to senior leadership. And although it might not seem that way, I'm typically a very shy, timid person. I only really just connect with people when I connect with people, and then I won't shut up. So I really wish someone had told me that you don't have to earn permission to have a voice in the room.
Yes, ma'am. Say it one more time.
You don't have to earn permission to have a voice in the room. And early in my career, I thought I had to prove myself before I spoke up, before I gave an opinion, before I said, I have an idea. And now I realize that everyone brings a different perspective to that room, and that often it's exactly why you're in that room, why you were invited to be there, or why you sat there to begin with. And I wish that someone had told me that the most successful people just ask questions. You don't want to be the loudest in the room. You don't want to be the one constantly talking. You don't want to be the smartest in the room. You're trying to understand everyone else around it. So that really shifted my perspective in how I continue to drive my business.
I always say, and someone told me this a long time ago, if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Right.
Correct.
So find a different room, find a bigger table. So you mentioned the wine industry. And so anybody who knows me well, knows me personally, knows that I am a wine enthusiast. I'll say.
I know that.
I'm a wine enthusiast. I don't discriminate when it comes to wine. I like Prosecco and champagne and all kinds of white wines and red wines. And I don't say all that just, because it's my cup of tea, but I'm leading to you have accomplished something that very few people in the world can say that they have. So I know that you've achieved the WeSet global diploma. And so for people who don't know what that is, because I didn't know what this was for a long time, I like different wines. I know which kind of wines I like. So I have my notes here because I want to give you your flowers so that people understand how big of a deal this really is and how prestigious it is. So WeSet is the Wine and Spirit Education Trust, and there are 4 progressive levels of this achievement. So level 1 is foundational, and it's really for anyone who is interested in wine, whether it's professional or personal. So earlier this year got my WeSet level 1 award because I love it. Thank you. And it was just something that I wanted to do to learn more about wine and to have fun. But let me tell you, there are more levels. So level 2 is an intermediate level. Level 3 is a professional course. So you have to have done level 2, and it goes into more depth of wine tasting, wine production. But level 4 is what you have earned. It is the crown jewel. It typically takes, based on my research, 24 months to 3 years to complete this program. You'll tell us a little bit more, all aspects of wine. But I want to, give you a shout out, because what I also have realized is that this is like a flagship, prestigious recognition. And there are a little more than 12,000 people globally, not in the US, globally, that have achieved this status and this diploma since 1969.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
All of that, please tell us more about how did you get to level 4? Tell us about that process and the things that you learned, not just about wine, but about yourself along the way.
Yeah. So how I got to level 4, I was doing PR and marketing for all of these wineries. And I used to have to host press trips with these prestigious journalists from all over the world. And many of them have covered wine for 40 years, 30 years, 20 years. And they became so much so mentors in a way. And they were my support system in that weird space of that male domination. And I just remember being asked certain questions, and I was like, I enjoy wine, but I don't really know how to answer all of this. And I wanted to show my chops.
Yeah.
And it was more like the initial going in of like, I'm going to know what I'm talking about when I host these journalists. So I started out with level 1. I trained with a bunch of the sommeliers who are my friends. We're still friends to this day. The boys, my children, feel like they have a bunch of aunts and uncles in the wine industry. It's hilarious. And then level 2. And so as I started to progress, I really, really started to love the educational components of it, and really understanding the beauty of all of these incredible wineries, many of them family owned in the old world, that have had these wineries for 500 years and what goes into it. And so that's really how I started on my journey of level 3 and then level 4. And level 4 was a passion project of insanity. I mean, it was in the middle of COVID. So we had a study group on Zoom where we share samples, because wine is very expensive, as everybody knows. Some samples are. And so people would have like masks on and dropping them off at my front porch, little samples. And we would all then get on Zoom and test together. And I'm a very visual person. So I redrew maps. I rewrote wine law in all of the countries. It was really a passion project, like I said, of insanity. I was curious. And curiosity became my biggest strength. I found out that I'm more resilient than I knew, even though I had given birth to identical twins. the most craziest thing I have done is having maps all over my house and an extra dining room table to go through samples to really understand what these wines are, and have all of my friends and neighbors testing me lightning round-esque of like,
Yes.
Alex, what region is this from? I don't know. And I realized that I'm patient, and I didn't know that I was, because I'm one to have OCD and I'm very particular and I'm type A. But I realized that I do have that patience. And I just really have to thank all of my mentors, because there were people that are fully embedded and immersed in the wine industry, who are running entire beverage programs for hospitality groups, that sat with me throughout the entire process and made sure that I had a seat at their table, and that I was able to learn everything from geography to indigenous varieties, to wine law. And it's so special to me. And I was excited to bring my family to London for the graduation. I was excited to be honored by Jancis Robinson and her team, for our work in hospitality and helping sommeliers get jobs during COVID through Virtual with Us. And it was just a beautiful thing of community, that I never knew I was lacking until then.
I think congratulations again. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing that journey. I'm fascinated by it. I watch lots of documentaries on food and on wine and, the very technical things. But I love what you said. And this is really down to the core of this podcast, Michelle's Seat at the Table. It is partly because of my almost 30 years of corporate experience and my journey, my leadership journey, the ups and the downs, building teams, building trust, learning about myself. But it is also because I think that food and wine bring us to the table, right? It's about the conversations that we have at the table, whether it's building professional relationships or personal relationships. And it sounds like that was a lot of your journey going through getting to level 4, which you said insanity. To me, it sounds like who actually has the capacity to do that. But congratulations. You mentioned resilience and patience in that journey. And of course, now you've been on the journey as a CEO of a company, and entrepreneurship requires resilience.
It does.
It requires stamina. What has surprised you on this journey as a CEO, as an entrepreneur?
I think my biggest shock is that I didn't know anything. You go in and you're like, I feel confident about starting this. And I learn something new every single day. I've grown more in the last 6 years starting my business than I did in working in corporate America. There's something to be said about building operations from the ground up and then having to build an entire revenue program and a sales team, and not really knowing how to do it, because from a marketing perspective, I never had to sell. There were salespeople there.
Right.
So
you call me in.
Yeah, exactly. So, starting from scratch, from zero, and saying, not only do I have to figure out how to ship boxes to 80 different countries, I also have to continually sell every month to maintain a revenue stream and grow my business. It was a lot, and it's been a lot of growth and frustration and happiness. And I always see the meme of the entrepreneur on a raft, and it's just slightly sinking. And also, it's literally like staying afloat while building a boat. And I just really learned that I need to tap my community, that not everything should end with me. So kind of letting go and delegating and working with my team. And I have an incredible team. I call them unicorns. They're wonderful human beings, but they also get stuff done.
Yes.
And then my customers, just going back to them strategically and working with them, collaborating, being partners. And that's been something that has been an ongoing growth for me, where I get to really strategize every quarter. And it's something I never had to do before. So I'm happy that in this phase of my life, I'm going through this personal growth. No matter how many times I go in my closet and scream and cry, because I have, or how many times I do the happy dance, because I do that too. And it's just kind of been a huge mix of the two. And I have a great support system in my husband, my kids, and like I said, the unicorn team.
The unicorns. I love that. I love that name because I'm sure that they are. One of the things that you and I spoke about in part of your journey as a founder and as a CEO is being a part of the Tory Burch Foundation Fellows Program. Did I say that right? Because I think I messed it up at the beginning.
Yeah.
Tell us about what that means, because there are people who are entrepreneurs or people who have a dream that listen to this podcast and will go through the same challenges and struggles. But tell us a bit about the Tory Burch Foundation Fellows Program.
Yeah. So let me just backtrack, because this actually is full circle. It's Johnson & Johnson connection. So, Tory Burch was they were doing an event at the Tory Burch Soho store, and the Johnson & Johnson team asked me if I would do the gift bags. I was frazzled as an entrepreneur and setting up these gift bags. And this really kind woman saw that I was frazzled and she helped me. And she asked me to tell her about my business. And I did. And she said, you should tell Tory Burch. And I just kind of said,
sure.
Sure. Okay. I was like,
call her up.
I'll get to that. And then she said, no, seriously, she's about to walk in. And I said, how do you know? And she said, I've been her assistant for many years. And I went upstairs and I said, hi, Tory. I was told I should tell you about my business. And she said, you have 5 minutes to pitch me.
Oh my gosh.
And I pitched her because there were a bunch of photographers waiting, because
it's Tory Burch, right? It's not
Tory
like
Burch.
It's Michelle Radney walking in.
Although I feel like there would still be a bunch of photographers, but I was like, okay. So 5 minutes, speed pitching her. And she said, please apply to the fellows program. Tell them that I told you to apply. A year later, I got a call to do the interview to tell them about my business. And it was the larger board and the president. And then they said, you got in. You are a fellow. You're
1 year.
Yeah, because the application
waiting process.
Because by the time I applied so the program itself is, so you go through a cohort. So I'm part of the class of 2022. They're continuing to grow the cohorts. Our cohort was 50. The classes before us had only 10 women. Tory started this foundation intentionally. She started her business actually with the future thought of starting a foundation to support female entrepreneurs. The reason is because female entrepreneurs receive less than 1%. It's like 0.1% they receive in funding. And which is insane to me, because a man can walk in and get probably millions of dollars, and I've seen it happen. Mm-hmm. And so she started it to do that. And I remember hearing her story on how she just wanted to support women. And as I went into this cohort, I understood why. It is such an incredible community. Everyone supports each other. No one sees it as competition. And you go through this cohort where you train. It's like school for entrepreneurship. They give you support for funding or revolving loans. They give you access to investors should you want to go that route. They teach you how to exit your organization if you want to exit and sell. They show you how to run things from operations, and you have access to all of her senior leadership. You can sign up and really speak to someone, and I did, to a logistics and ops person. I was like, how do I ship stuff? And they were like, okay, here's what we do. And you really have full circle access to all of these incredible people that are in her network. And if she doesn't have someone immediately, they find someone for you. And once a fellow, always a fellow.
Amazing support.
It is. And you meet in person. You also meet virtually. And, we have community calls. We have a WhatsApp going on. All the girls are like, let's grab drinks. But they all know what I'm going through and I know what they're going through. And we all have our own expertise. So if anybody needs marketing advice, they come to me. There's somebody else that is a website person. We go to her and we're like, what's wrong with our website? There's just kind of, if there's issues at the border with shipping, there's a logistics compliance person. There's an amazing contractor that I love who I've become friends with. And now I recommended her to a friend and they're building their house. So it's just kind of this network of people.
Yeah.
In a way, it's just kind of like we all love each other. We all support each other, snaps across the board. Let's build relationships and work together. And to that, I have 38 fellows are included in our Virtual With Us boxes.
My gosh, that is amazing. And so they're included, meaning their items are in your boxes?
Yes. So Partake is one of them. So her cookies they support 7 different allergens. So I include them in there because we are allergen friendly and we want to make sure that no one gets sick from the boxes. Tea Drop is another one. So we put her teas in our boxes. So we all just kind of support each other in that way.
What an amazing community. Back to, again, the seat at the table, supporting other people, right? We talk about mentorship. We talk about sponsorship. All of those things are really important to me. I know they're important to you, and how we will succeed together, right? And supporting other women across the board. I developed this framework, and I talked about it recently, and it's called OWN, and it's own your seat at the table. And the O is for own your narrative. The W is for win your visibility. The N is for navigate your network. And you have touched on so many of those things in your journey, right? We didn't even talk about that as we were preparing for this conversation, but it does bring me full circle in how we have these conversations at the table and pulling out the chair for somebody else to follow behind us. What does your seat at the table look like today as you are, still learning and growing?
Yeah. So, for me, my seat at the table is finding ways to create more seats. I am very much about mentoring. I have folks, some incredible humans that I've been mentoring. I managed them when I was in PR, and I continue to work with them throughout their career, giving them advice, whether it's mentoring, entrepreneurs, helping our team grow internally and showing them flexibility because we're a startup and you just have to be flexible and, it's just what it is. Really multiplying connection. It is never of harm to allow somebody in. And it shows not only kindness, but it's really a great way to simply open a door instead of just walking through it alone by yourself, opening that door for somebody else and really allowing them to have a space there just to listen and support and help them, which is a lot of what the Tory Burch Foundation is about as well. And so I've become much more comfortable at knowing that I don't have all of the answers. But the best seat at the table isn't the head of the table. And the best way to do it is to ensure that everyone feels like they belong, and just to listen to them. So, really that's been my journey in allowing folks, whether it's that mentoring piece or just hearing them out and helping to give advice in whatever capacity I know how.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And it's incredible to watch the journey that you've had. We met many years ago, and to see all of, the work now, and to see your website now. And as I mentioned, there are people who are thinking about, starting something. What advice would you give somebody who is harboring a dream and has an idea and just how to get started?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is really understand your value and your morals. Where do you stand in that space? And then really showing that flexibility. you as a startup, no matter what kind of company you're starting, there's going to be significant ups and downs. There's funding that you have to think about. There's revenue that you have to think about, whatever it may be. And really, you have to think about the retention of people, the community that you're building around, and the strength that you have in yourself. You're going to mess up a lot, and you have to be patient with it. I mean, it really is. You also have to have what I mentioned before, that curiosity and thoughtfulness around your strategy. And really make sure you have a good support system, because as you're building, you're going to have moments where you break, you're going to have moments where you succeed, and you need to have someone to lean on. And that is my biggest advice that I would give, because a lot of people, I have friends that don't even know what I do. They're like, what is it? And they're just like, why are you always working? And I'm like, I literally have a startup. And not everyone understands that, and that's okay. But have the small group that you can go to say, hey, I have an idea about my business and I want to talk through it. I need help. Can you help me? Just little things like that really, really do make a difference in your entrepreneurial journey, in getting you to a place of mild comfort is where I'm at right now.
Mild comfort. Okay. Well, it seems like that's progress, and you'll keep growing, and the comfort level may have some ups and downs along the way.
Yes.
That's excellent advice. So I want to go to the lightning round of questions. Have a little bit more fun. Like, we've been having a great conversation. But I like to lighten it up with a little different way of getting to know more about you. So what are you currently binge watching?
So I just finished binge watching, and it was a rewatch of Scandal, in preparation for Lioness, because I watched the first episode of Lioness as well. I love shows with smart, strong characters, especially female characters. And so Scandal was my moment. So I rewatched it. Like, my husband was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm rewatching Scandal, and took out wine every time. And I was like, I'm going to just sit here and enjoy it.
Yes, I love that. And, you're enjoying a nice glass of wine with Olivia Pope.
Yes, very much so.
So I don't know Lioness.
So it has Zoe Saldana, Morgan Freeman, Nicole Kidman. It's incredible. It's on Paramount. They have it streaming, and season 3 just came out. So I watched the first episode, but Scandal was my rewatch until that came. You got to watch it. It's so good. I love it.
Okay. I'm gonna check it out. I love this question because I always find good shows to watch. And are you a junk food eater? Do you have a favorite junk food or a treat snack?
I have a couple, but so I love empanadas because my mom makes my grandmother's recipe, and it's fried and all kinds of delicious. I'm also a stickler for French fries with bacon, very crispy bacon, sometimes cheese on top. So those are my two junk food things. And then Sour Patch Kids is my third, but yeah.
You've got a list. Now, French fries with bacon, like bacon crumbled on the French fries?
Oh, yeah. And I'll make bacon in the air fryer and then crisp it on top with then cheese. And that's a meal for me.
Okay. You've got some people hooked on here already. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I am definitely an early bird. I work out every morning at 6 a.m, and it sets the tone for my entire day. So I was up and out this morning, went to the gym, then came back.
Good for you. And when you work, are you one who likes complete silence, or do you prefer a playlist?
Playlist all the way. I need to have good energy. So I'll go from Lenny Kravitz to Coldplay to Shakira. And then my kids are listening to Brazilian funk right now, and I'm kind of into it. So I've been like, okay. So I was helping the team boxing. We were doing quality control yesterday, and I had Brazilian funk on. I was like, this feels good.
I'm going to put on some Brazilian funk so I can see what it's all about on my Spotify playlist. So this is a good lead into the next question on what was either the last concert you went to or your favorite concert?
Oh, I mean, hands down, I think Coldplay. They're one of my favorite bands, and they had a Head Full of Dreams tour, and it was at MetLife Stadium. It was about 10 years ago. The funny part is my husband and I hosted 100 people at our house for our twins' birthday.
100 people?
Yes, my family's Puerto Rican. So there's just everybody. It was neighbors, friends, preschool friends, everything. Literally, the house was packed. We had just built a back porch. And as soon as the last guest walked out the door, my mother took over to babysit, and we rushed to the concert. And Michael J. Fox came out and played the guitar during Fix You. And as you were entering the stadium, they gave you bands that lit up and were in sync with the music. So the entire arena.
Oh, I've seen that before.
So I've never seen something so magical. And it was just more than a concert. It was an experience, and I love experiences. And so hands down, I would say that's my favorite concert.
Well, that's a great story too. Wow. They do that. I went to a Taylor Swift concert, and they had the same bracelet thing where it was all set to the music. And I was like, this is amazing. She's amazing in concert.
It's cool. Oh my God, I love her.
So thank you so much for joining me. We'll put your information certainly in the show notes, but before we wrap, please let the listeners and viewers know the best way to get in touch with you, to connect with you, and to learn more about the work that you're doing.
Of course. So you could go to virtualwithus.com and see all of our experiences, where we continue to evolve our virtual experiences, our boxes. And you can go to @Alex Schreck for Instagram or Alexandra Schrecengost for LinkedIn.
Perfect. We will put those in the notes. And again, it's been such a pleasure having you on today. For those who are listening, if this episode inspired you, if it resonated with you, please share it with a friend. Please like us, give us a comment, follow on your favorite podcast platform. We really appreciate it. And until next time, remember that the best conversations and the lessons don't always happen in the boardroom. They happen right here at the table. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening. And if this podcast episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend. Invite them to the table. And don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform.